Oh, hello there, my fellow American. I know that the NBA playoffs have just kicked off, but if you didn't catch the last round of the Champions League, I feel sorry for you, because it was glorious. Glorious chaos. There's just something about theater on the European stage that you just can't find anywhere else. Tragedy, comedy, and maybe, just maybe, the Qataris paying off another ref. But I'll get more into that later. For now, we're into the Final Four, and in this video I'm going to break down how these teams got here, give you a preview of the semifinals, and then I have a special treat. Not only will I get my predictions for the semis, but I have a cameo from young Maqwell and what he thinks will go down in the round of 4. Welcome to a Clueless American's Guide to the Champions League, Final Four edition. But first, like FIFA, I gotta pay some bills. Listen, if you want to buy some of these sickest, hard-to-find kits from around the world, then Singalo is the site for you. They're the official sellers of some of the best teams on the planet that only the finest football connoisseurs would know about. Just how rare are they? Well, this dope-ass kit that I'm wearing from Ezra FC is a really special team focused on youth development in Laos. And I'm pretty sure even you, with your advanced FIFA knowledge, couldn't point out Laos on a map. And I mean, come on. The yellow with the Coca-Cola in front. This is one of my favorite kits that I own, period. And you can only get it at Singalo. Or maybe blue is more your color. Then check out the stunning kit from Stay Rain. Oh, you've never heard them either? Oh, you're telling me you've never heard of the 2-time champions of Cambodia? You see that? You see how superior I look? This could be you. And if you want to start making your friends feel jealous today, then you have got to get your hands on some of these ultra rare kits. Go ahead, click on the link on the top of the description. Thank you, Singalo, for sponsoring this video. Now, back to the show. Now I know you're supposed to start off with your scrub teams and then work your way up, because that'll bring in more retention on the video. But fuck it. Let's begin with the bang. Because I want to talk about Manchester City and Real Madrid. Why? Why UEFA? Why'd you give us the real Champions League final in the round of 8? Everybody knows it. They're widely considered the 2 best teams in Europe right now. All right, chill, Leverkusen. We all wish you were here, but you gotta wait until next year. All right? But yeah, Manchester City, Real Madrid. This is the premier matchup of the Champions League. 3 years in a row now. New money versus old money. Football heritage versus pay to win. And meticulous planning and tactics versus the power of friendship. And it all somehow delivered. And it started off instantly with a bang. Real Madrid's star keeper tore his ACL early in the season and he's been out, so they had to field their young but talented backup, Lunin. This poor kid had to endure barrage after barrage from the treble winners, and only 2 minutes in, Bernardo Silva caught the young keeper sleeping. He cheekily hit a low-driven shot that somehow sneaked inside the post, and just like that, City boys up. And from that point on, I can sum up the rest of this matchup over the 2 legs as pretty much Man City dominating the game, but whenever Real Madrid gets the ball, they look equally terrifying on the counter. But then, out of nowhere, Camavinga said fuck it, let me try to score from 35 yards out, even though I haven't scored a single goal all year. So he whacks the shit out of it, takes a wicked deflection, and bam. And then a minute later, it's a simple through ball, puts Akanji on stage, Rodrigo clips it, it hits off Akanji's leg, and somehow rolls into the back of the net again. And that is 2 fluky-ass goals to make it 2-1, all powered through the eyebrow of Don Carlo. You cut over Pep Guardiola, and he's pulling his non-existent hair out, complaining to his assistant. What do you do? What do you do? There's no tactic against the magical bullshit that is Real Madrid. But Pep tried. Coming in at halftime, moves more back and forth. And then, in the 66th minute, something cracked. Phil Foden found 2 seconds of space on top of the box and perfectly shapes it from distance. It's a hell of a shot. And Real Madrid have been so good, so acute defensively up until this moment. But like many Pep Guardiola sides, they tend to lull you to sleep, patiently waiting for that one killer opening. They just have so many special players that eventually, inevitably, one of them is going to do their thing. And just like that, the man with the angry cat face makes it 2-2 at the Santiago Bernabeu. 3 minutes later, another ball to the top of the box finds the defender Gavardio, and a heavy first touch actually sets him up perfectly for a pop. And he says, fuck it, I'm going to try to score my first goal for Manchester City right now in the Champions League. And for the 3rd time in the night, a perfectly placed shot from outside of the box bests the young Real keeper. Unbelievable stuff from the treble winners. But this is Real Madrid. This is Champions League Real Madrid. It's only the 70th minute. They're not out of it yet. And lo and behold, 7 minutes later, they catch Man City in transition. Vinny Jr. hits a long switch cross to find an unmarked Valverde arriving into the box. And with perfect technique, hits it first time, and it's a grass cutter into the far corner. And we're level, 3-3 all, as they head back to Manchester with everything to play for. 11th minute, Carvalho essentially just clears the ball, and it somehow finds Jude Bellingham, who controls it beautifully, and make a counterattack from nothing. Valverde plays in Vinny Jr., who looks offside at first glance, and the Brazilian fires in a ball to Rodrigo on the opposite wing. It's behind Kyle Walker, so he can't react in time. The ball is fizzed in with such pace that Rodrigo mishits it directly at Ederson. It bounces off the goalkeeper, but right back into the path of Rodrigo, and he does not miss the second time. A replay reveals that Kyle Walker is the guy who actually held Vinny Jr. onside, and the goal stands. Real Madrid have taken the lead once again on aggregate, and from the 12th minute on, they just parked the bus and told Man City to come and get it. And then Man City came and got it. Barrage after barrage of attack. KDB with the dead trim, back to full health, driving his team forward. It felt like it was only a matter of time. And Real Madrid, to their credit, held firm, at least till halftime. But sneaky Pep, so sneaky, had a tactical switch up, bringing on Jeremy Doku. And the pacey winner was just a little terror on that left wing for the rest of the game. Finally, around the 70th minute, he fizzes in a low-driven cross that Rudiger can only react to. It ricochets off of him, and who's there in the box to pick up the scraps? The one person that you don't want it to fall to. KDB goes Thanos. He grabs the Infinity Gauntlet and says he'll do it himself, roofing into the top of the net, and another iconic moment for one of the greatest midfielders of this generation. We're tied up 4-4 on aggregate, and Real Madrid look like they're on threads. The potency of their counterattack has been completely neutralized by Walker, and you know it's just going to be wave after wave after wave for Man City from here on out. So Real Madrid did what they had to do. They played boring, disciplined, concentrated defense until the full 90 was up. And as we headed into extra periods, the meme happened. You know the meme that I constantly show in these videos of like all the tactics versus the power of friendship? The camera cuts to Pep Guardiola, and he has the full team in a huddle as he's gesticulating all over the place. And then they cut to Ancelotti. He's just there on the sideline telling players to go have fun. We're living in a simulation. Real Madrid hold on to both periods of extra time. Well, curiously, Pep takes off KDB and Haaland, just trying to press for a win. But I don't know, I probably would have wanted those two if it did came down to pens. But here we are. It's a penalty shootout. As we all know, a shootout just comes down to nerves and luck, typically, because I think everyone from that point felt like Real Madrid had the advantage here. It begins well for Man City. Julian Alvarez steps up, makes the first pen. Real Madrid's first taker is Luka Modric. He steps up and takes a shit pen. And for a second, everyone thought, oh, maybe the magic is up. No, it wasn't. No one even remembers the poor pen from Luka, because Bernardo Silva stepped up next. And the man who destroyed Real Madrid just a year ago steps up and hits one of the worst pens in UCL history. He tried to do the cheeky move and just go right down the middle, anticipating that the inexperienced Lunin would dive early, but he forgot one important thing. Lunin is from Ukraine, and Ukrainians don't give a fuck. The kid keeps his cool, stands firm, and catches the shot easily. The next pen taker for Man City is Kovacic, and he's poor too. And at this point, you really question why you took off KDB and Haaland, but it's too late now. Real Madrid are perfect from that point on, and in a game where they were thoroughly dominated, where they were the worst team on paper, they had worse tactics, had a bajillion less chances, and definitely had less coaching. Real Madrid win, because this is football heritage. Eviscerated a year ago at the Etihad, Real Madrid come back and exact their revenge. They pulled up, put the ski masks on, smashed, and grabbed their way to the semifinals of the Champions League. Now I'm kind of happy because I predicted Man City wouldn't make it to the semifinals. Overall, they played extremely well, but unfortunately for them, Real Madrid are the main characters of this show, and the plot armor is just too thick, and they will head into the semifinals the overall favorites to win the whole thing, because I haven't gotten to yet, but the other three teams that are left, let's just say some upsets happen. So let's move on to Arsenal Bayern Munich. Arsenal. They were in unbelievable form in the Premier League heading into this match, while Bayern, on the other hand, was having their worst season in over a decade. Thomas Tuchel already has one foot out the door. But when it comes to the Champions League, domestic form really means jack shit. In the previous round, Arsenal struggled, needing pens to get past a far inferior Porto. But on paper, they were the better team than Bayern, and they looked it at the start of the first leg. Dominant from the start, they were there to let Bayern know that this wasn't the Arsenal of old. They were hammering the crowds, keeping Bayern penned in, absorbing wave after wave, until finally, a moment of brilliance from their golden boy, Bukayo Saka, and he puts it past Maqwell Noor. It's the Arsenal formula that we've been seeing all season long in the Prem, and it looked like they were going to get a second. But then, a moment of not quite madness, but more awkwardness, Arsenal gives the ball away. Their keeper David Raya is out near the midway line for no reason.
What is the goalkeeper doing? Why are you there?
This causes Arsenal's backline to panic. They're all over the place. And Bayern, calmly, coolly, strings a couple of passes together. Bing, bang, boom. Serge Gnabry makes a 1-1. It's a frustrating mistake, but to Arsenal's credit, they look unfazed. Their confidence isn't shaken, and they still play like they're the better team. But once again, just a simple pass up to the speedy Leroy Sané. Pins his fullback, turns him, and then leaves him for dead as the ex-Man City man slaloms past multiple Arsenal defenders before William Saliba decides to have a nibble. Wrong choice. He clips Sané as he enters the box, and as it is written, the Lisa Nagayeb has seen it. It is just a fact of nature that Harry Kane must score against Arsenal. Cool as ever from the spot, Kane makes it 2-1 to Bayern. It's two self-inflicted mistakes, and the lingering specter of Bottle Job FC looms ever present. But once again, To Arsenal's credit, they didn't just collapse. They were able to salvage a 2-2 draw late through the powers of the super sub, Leandro Trossard, but that would mean it would come down to a one-game playoff against the master of the one-game playoff, Thomas Tuchel. And a dangerous Thomas Tuchel. Remember, this man has nothing to lose. He's leaving at the end of the season. And the second leg takes place at home for Bayern, and it went down just like that. A Thomas Tuchel masterclass, which meant it was a boring, stinky, smothering defensive performance by Bayern Munich that saw them control the game from beginning to end. All the weapons that had been so potent for Arsenal this year, Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, completely neutralized. And this wasn't like Real Madrid where they were holding on for dear life. No. Bayern controlled nearly every aspect of the game. Arsenal didn't win a corner until the second half. There's no easy way to say it. Tuchel took Arteta to school in Munich. And I was watching this game live at an Arsenal bar in New York. And to see the life leave the eyes of Arsenal fans in real time, let me tell you, I'll never forget it. It was special. And as a cross found an unmarked Joshua Kimmich in the box to give him the 1-0 lead, it was so silent, you could hear a Tinder notification go off. Everyone knew from that point it was over. And I, for one, do not blame Arteta. I blame Maqwell. Because everyone else at the bar ordered pints, and this kid had to go order a bottle. He was asking for it. And with them losing to Aston Villa only a couple days prior, over the course of 7 days, all the ghosts of last year had become all too real. As I said in the last video, I wanted to believe in this young team. I think they're extremely talented. But until they win something, they will stay Bottle Job FC. As for Bayern, they get to face the main character of this tournament arc. But if anyone can find a chink in the plot armor that is Real Madrid, it's Thomas Tuchel. He's basically Batman with prep time. You give him enough of it, he'll come up with a plan to pretty much beat anyone. Now, on the other side of the bracket, we had some more upsets. Actually, now that I think about it, pretty much all the underdogs won in this round. But personally for me, the biggest shocker was Atletico versus Dortmund, because this is the worst Dortmund team in years. The last time they did anything noteworthy in Champions League was when Klopp was still there, and he is about to retire from Liverpool. Atletico, on the other hand, almost always make a strong push in this competition. This was my lock from the last video, and it started just as I expected. Atleti scoring early, looking in complete control, bullying Dortmund's midfield, and then Dortmund gets sloppy, give Atletico a second. And at that point, I stopped paying attention to this game. I thought it was over, because come on, playing stubborn defensive football with a lead, that's exactly where Diego Simeone wants you. They love to do it. They're like pigs in slop. That's what they're built to do. But maybe they love it a little bit too much. Maybe they were a bit too comfortable, and they lulled themselves to sleep and allowed a late goal by Dortmund, which meant that there was a slight chance that maybe they could do something in the second leg. But back in Dortmund, Atleti looked pretty much in control and should have extended the lead back to 2 when Morata was clear in on net and just put it wide. And he would rue that miss, because then Dortmund started to find some magic. Julian Brandtschot squeezes in from a tight angle, and then Mawson puts in one from a similar angle in the 33rd, and now Dortmund are up on aggregate. Atletico fight back, scoring 2 scrappy goals of their own to retake the lead early into the second period. But the power of God and anime were on Dortmund's side this day, as they would rally once again, scoring back-to-back goals 4 minutes apart from each other to turn the tide back in their favor 5-4 on aggregate. And the shittiest Dortmund team in a decade have somehow made it to the semifinals of Europe's premier tournament. The Bundesliga, much maligned as a farmers league, had the last laugh when Dortmund center back Matt Hummels tweeted out this: "Good harvesting this week, my fellow farmers." Well fucking played. So Dortmund somehow finds its way through, and they would face the winners of PSG versus Barcelona. And the marquee on this matchup was Mbappe versus Lamine Yamal, the future of the game versus the present. And in their first match, we barely saw either of them. No joke though, Barca's whole plan was double Mbappe wherever he goes, and if anyone else on PSG can beat us, let him try. And early on, they were just trying to force it to Mbappe, and he couldn't do anything. The man did not have any help out there, and I can see why he's leaving in the summer. Barcelona, on the other hand, have just been on fire since Xavi announced that he was going to leave at the end of the year. They went on some crazy unbeaten streak, and their form was so good that now the Barcelona board are desperately trying to keep him. And while Lamine Yamal didn't do a lot in this first match, he did send in a super nice cross into the box that forced Donnarumma to punch the ball away, only as far as an arriving Rafinha, who couldn't miss from that position. And with Mbappe all but neutralized in this game, it would fall on someone else's shoulders for PSG to battle back. And the guy who stepped up, of all people, was former Barcelona player Ousmane Dembele, who rolled back the years and hits just the sweetest strike, a wonder goal, into the roof of the net, and then streaks away celebrating against his former team. For my American fans, this is a big no-no. If you score against your former team, especially one who took care of you, you're supposed to not celebrate, kind of like hold up your hands, be humble. Dembele didn't do any of that shit. Immediately celebrated, and Barcelona fans were incensed by this. How could he show such disrespect after our club had supported him through all his injuries? All right, maybe the club supported him, but the fans, most of y'all, just shit on his name damn near the entire time he was at Barcelona. And he obviously did not enjoy his time with the Catalonian Giants. and he let it be known, as he was smiling ear to ear after he scored. Just world-class shithousery. And then, a minute later, Barcelona implode. PSG slice them apart, and Vitinha decides it's a great time to score his first ever Champions League goal. But to Barca's credit, they fight back. A beautiful ball over the top gives Rafinha his brace. And then Andres Christensen heads one in off of a corner in the 72nd to give Barca a 3-2 victory heading into the second leg. And this fucking second leg, bro. I mean, I'm going to get into it right now, but gross. First 13 minutes, PSG are completely dominated. Barca look like they're in control, and then a moment of magic by the young Lamine Yamal, who absolutely destroys the PSG left back and finds Rafinha on the cutback to net himself a hat-trick over these two legs. But it's all Yamal here. I just did a video on this kid. He's probably going to be something special. If you're a manager and you decide to just leave him one-on-one with the defender, you're living on borrowed time. I'm sorry. And with the 2-goal lead on aggregate, it looked like Barcelona had 1 foot into the semis. But then, in the 30th minute, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. And by that, I mean the ref basically making a decision that will completely change the trajectory of this match. Barcola gets played in on net, with Aranyo chasing him down. He puts a light pull on his back shoulder, and there's also a light collision coming with the legs. Aranyo is the last man back, and it's definitely a foul, and it's a huge call. Without hesitation, the ref comes up, boom, straight red. And in real time, I thought it was yellow. But I don't know, man. That's such a huge call that early in the game to give a straight red. And you could tell in the replay, Barcola is looking to go down. And yes, I can see both ways where you can argue it, but there wasn't even a VAR check on this one. And it just smelled of something funny, a little fishy. All I can say is that the ref team pretty much gave every single call that they possibly could to PSG. I cannot remember a single call that was 50-50 or close to 50-50 that they gave in favor of Barcelona. So I'm not saying that the Qataris might have given the refs some generational wealth, because, that could get me sued. But I also wouldn't mind monitoring these refs for a while and make sure they aren't driving around in a new Maybach, because it sure looked that blatant in this game. And with Barcelona down to 10 men and 60 minutes to play, it was going to get rough. They did have a 2-goal lead though, so Xavi had to make a tough decision, a curious decision. He ends up sacrificing Lamine Yamal for another defender, and it's up to 10-man Barca to park the bus for the rest of the game and hold on for dear life. Now I'll say this, up until this point, they weren't terribly good at holding possession, even with 11 men. And once it went down to 10, it was non-existent. They couldn't hold on to the ball to save their life. And it didn't take long. In the 39th minute, the wall cracks. A squirrely cross finds its way to the back post. And who else is there but the old Barcelona player, Ousmane Dembele, who scores for the second time in this tie. Another fantastic goal, plays perfectly into the roof of the net. And what's even more amazing, Ousmane Dembele has only scored 3 goals for PSG all year. Guess who 2 of them are against? Yeah, his old club, Barcelona. He saw this match on the calendar, circled it, and went Michael Jordan. He took it personally. And now with only a 1-goal lead, it's squeaky bun time for the next 50 minutes for Barcelona. And PSG poured on, chance after chance, but they hold out to the 54th minute, where once again, it's Vitinha who hits a low-driven prayer from the top of the box and scores his second ever goal in Champions League history. Oh, it's 4-4 in aggregate now. And it's all going south for Barcelona, because 1 minute later, yet another call goes against Barcelona, and Xavi loses it. He's done. He kicks some boxes near the halfway line, and the main referee sees that as enough to give Xavi a straight red card. I've seen managers throw temper tantrums before. The worst they get is a yellow. Sometimes they don't get anything. They just get a scolding too. I'm telling you, someone was up, bro. Someone was up, because not even 3 minutes later, there's another 50-50 call inside of the box on who else? Ousmane Dembele, with João Cancelo possibly getting contact on the ball, but the fall through of the tackle goes through Ousmane Dembele, and I'll let you guess how the ref sees it. Yeah, it's a penalty. And guess what? No VAR. No VAR review again. Isn't that wild? Isn't that crazy? Seems like a pretty big call. And listen, this is how blatant it was. It's making me sound like I'm a diehard Barcelona fan complaining. No, nothing could be further from the truth. I do not like Barcelona at all. In fact, I found their fans insufferable for decades. I still kind of do. I have no reason to be biased here. In fact, I am rooting for their downfall. I want to laugh in their fans' faces. But this just felt dirty. This game was not decided by who was the better team on the pitch. Penalty is awarded. Ousmane Dembele smiling ear to ear. And Mbappe steps up and gives PSG the lead. And as he runs to the crowd to celebrate, the camera pans up to PSG's owner. And I swear to God, this dude just looks embarrassed at this point. He must have been thinking, fucking hell, I told that ref to be subtle about it. What the fuck? I don't know if I've seen a more biased ref since the final in Shaolin Soccer. But with a 1-goal lead, it's over. Barcelona try to throw men forward, and predictably, they're hit on their counterattack. And when it rains, it pours. Barcelona defender goes to clear the ball. It ricochets off the big booty of his own defender and falls right into the path of a lurking Mbappe. And that's how the game ends. 4-1 PSG. They're through to the semis. And all I can think watching the end of that game is, it's crazy for Barca now that the broke, just nothing seems to go their way. Funny, huh? So yeah, the worst PSG team in years, the worst Bayern team in years, the worst Dortmund team in years, and a decently good Real Madrid team are your final four in this year's Champions League. On one side of the semis, you have the evil mastermind Thomas Tuchel, seeing if he can scheme his way past the main character of this tournament. And on the other side, you have oil money owned versus fan owned. And hopefully, the Qataris make it a bit more subtle this time. As for my predictions, as promised, I got a little cameo for y'all. Enjoy. And special guest, who do you got? Your predictions for Champions League.
So I got Real Madrid beating Bayern pretty comfortably, I think. And then I think PSG just edges out Dortmund. You heard it from me.
I don't want it. I don't want it to happen.
I don't want it either, man, but I couldn't see it any other way.
All right. I'm going to go upset. I'm going to go Dortmund,
Okay.
Real Madrid. But you bet your sweet ass that I will be back after the semis to break down how it all went down, as well as preview the finals of this year's Champions League. And I mean, this round can't be more epic than the last one, right? Right? All right, that's going to be it for me. If you did enjoy, go hit some show hard direct nipples in the like button right now. Shout outs to all my patrons keeping me alive and well. A special shout out to my newest patron, Elm P.S. Sambatkol. Thank you so much for joining the GO tier. Elm, I just want you to know that I dream about you every night before I go to sleep, you little handsome rascal. Thank you to Lewis for helping me edit this one. And yeah, until next time, boys, stay thick.